What's up, family? Hopefully, everybody's having a great and exceptional day. I like to start my days off on a positive note, especially there ain't nothing like, and let me know how you feel about it. Ain't nothing like waking up knowing that you ain't got to go to work. And if you got to get up and go do some work, you're putting some work in for yourself. You're putting some work in from a health perspective in regards to put some light on the situation. Putting from a healthy perspective, taking your vitamins, eating right, get working on your business, personal goals. You're in school, whatever. I did my stunt thing with college and whatnot, but I always like to start my day off reading some books. I'm rereading this book called Charting and Technical Analysis, First Charting Manual for Investors by Fred McAllen. It's my second time reading it. Probably going to read it a couple more times because books like these, and yeah, I'm so old school. I like to read books and not listen to them. Closest thing I get to when it comes to reading books is podcasts. I'm more of a YouTuber. Listening to YouTube videos, but nothing like that because I like to learn. I always say, quote from my former coworker: "If you go the whole day without learning something new, you fail for the day." This book called The Stone of Hope, I bought this 2 years ago in Jackson, well, my bad, in Glendora, Mississippi. And it was actually from the mayor of the town, Johnny B. Thomas. He's the mayor / sheriff of the town, small town in Mississippi, where they had the Emmett Till Museum. And I got to meet him. And I didn't even realize he had a gun on him until, because, in the South, it's just everybody's got a gun on them. But I didn't even realize he had a gun on him until I took a picture with him. So, but it was a good experience. And, I get to learn more about Glendora, Mississippi. My parents' roots come from Virginia, North Carolina, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey area. But for the most part, southern roots come from the South, not the deep South, but the South. So it's always nice to when I go down South. I guess that's why I always feel at home when I'm either down South or out West because of the laid back energy and the good Southern hospitality, specifically down South. So, like I said, I might do a quick trip to Montgomery, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi this summer. So deep South, I'm definitely going to Atlanta for Invest Fest in August. So. And I still need to. I got on my calendar because you know how it is. You got to put stuff on your calendar to remember things. Especially the older you get. Definitely putting on my calendar to start up a travel business. I had a travel business 7-8 years ago. Really didn't take much, but one thing I've learned in starting a business is that majority of people that are going to support you are people that you don't even know. Because you just think about it. When you go to a store, you don't know the people, for the most part, that works there. You don't know the people who own the business, but you're still going to be a customer of that store. And I've learned that in owning a business since 2018. First business was a travel business. Excuse me. I'm finishing my breakfast. So the main reason for me is like, hey, be another way to write off my traveling. Two, get access to better deals when it comes to travel, because my expensive habit is I like to travel. I'm not with this Netflix and chill, be at home all the time thing. I love to travel, so that's why I'm all about getting those air miles and points and things of that nature. It's like every month this year in 2025, I've gone somewhere, and literally every month this year I've gone somewhere. What was it? January, Florida; February, Texas; March, Los Angeles; April, San Antonio; this May, Las Vegas; June, LA and Phoenix. So yeah, I might go to the Caribbean, do a quick trip to the Caribbean this summer. Who knows? But yeah, definitely going to the UK in October, late September, October. So might as well. But yeah, that's how I like to start my Sundays off. I like my weekends to be chill, not really having to worry about going anywhere. Might go see that movie Final Destination this evening, but that's a big maybe. I check the movie times out. Maybe it's why I'm making this video, because I'm just like, yo, life is good, and we gotta embrace the positivity. Especially for a lot of people, with us being in the middle of the year right now, they've had a hard year. People don't, inflation. People have been fighting inflation for the last 2.5 years, and it's just intensified in 2025 with the cost of living, especially with the tariffs crap and all that other nonsense. And, with our country, and to get the political nonsense out of the way, with our country, it's based on consumer spending. So if people can't afford to buy things, that means businesses having more incentive to lay people off because they're like, hey, we're not making a profit. So what's the deal? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that, unfortunately, that could just intensify and have more of a effect on more people's the ability to have a job if people want to come into the business to spend money. So I was laughing at, I put a thing out there about OnlyFans just to be funny, and people are responding to it. But anyways, and that's why I'm always self-conscious about who I spend my money with, because I've always said who you bank with and who you spend your money with holds way more power than who you vote for. Because there's communities in the United States of America who never have to vote. They just write checks. And, like one guy was trying to talk to me about politics the other day. And if you know me, I think all politicians are full of it. But what they try to tell me, and I was like, well, at this point, it's like the voters really don't matter. The people who write checks matter, and those are the ones that are making the decisions, no matter who's in the White House, governor's house, and mayor's house. And he gave me this crazy look, and he's like, that's an interesting perspective. I'm just like, I said, prove me wrong. I can be proven wrong now. I'm not going to act like I know everything, but I know that much, especially given the fact that I grew up in the DMV area where all the bills and deals go down in the United States of America, regardless who's in the White House, governor's house, and mayor's house. So I'll leave it at that. But anyways, it's a good day. We sending out positive vibes this Sunday, and blessings, whether people at church, whether people listen to their spirit, listen to something online from a spiritual advisor, from anybody who's spiritual or religion, whatever the case may be. I'm just like, I love making these videos because I'm just like, you know what, keep it positive, keep it moving. That's what we're doing today. I'm going to read my books, do a mini workout, start making my salads, do my food prep and whatnot for the week, and then maybe head out. So that's why I was like, let me do this video now, because I know I'm not going to have time to do this video later, And once again, if you haven't seen that movie Sinners, see the movie Sinners. Because it's in most movies, in the last couple of years, most movies are terrible and garbage. That movie's good. Most time, like I said, most movies don't really catch my attention like that, especially with the fact that, majority of the newer movies that are made are superhero movies, fantasy movies. Nothing wrong with that. Not my cup of tea. I always say I'm a realistic kind of guy. But shout out to Memorial Day weekend coming up this weekend. Let me know in the chat if you have any plans for Memorial weekend. Like I said, I'll be in Las Vegas. And I'll be staying at the Stratosphere Hotel, so it'll be different this time. But, sometimes it's cool to do something different. Cause I usually stay at the Luxor Hotel. But one of my friends asked, when you come back to Texas, I was like, well, I done been to Texas in the last 6 months. I done been to Texas, 6 times. So, I think it's time for me to go see other parts of the country and other parts of the world. So that's my goal in that aspect, especially to get to Europe. But go to the Caribbean, cool, because I actually over this weekend, I was actually checking out some spots. First time checking out to see what the cost would be like to go to the Caribbean. And actually, it's the same price of me flying to the West Coast to go to Mexico or to go to Dominican Republic and go to Puerto Rico and go to Jamaica. So I never even would have realized that if I didn't check. Another thing is, get outside your comfort zone. I always say, one of my favorite videos on YouTube is Quarter Life Crisis. Guy named Smiley, he lived in the DC area where I'm from, and he was working as a federal employee, and he was having a quarter life crisis to where he hated where he lived at. He wanted to go live in San Francisco. I know San Francisco is way overpriced and crazy, but sometimes people move to a place because of the lifestyle, because of the energy. Like some people want to move to a small town because it's the peace and quiet and serenity of it. I'm not even mad at that, because like I said, when I went to first time driving from Jackson, Mississippi to Montgomery, Alabama last year, one of the most peaceful drives I've ever had in my life, especially given the fact that I live in a quote unquote major city, and the DMV area has gotten way more overpriced and overpopulated since COVID. So being able to take a long drive like that is something that I appreciate even more so in today's world than I ever have when I was younger. So, and you know how it is, you get a little older, things just change, and you know, it is what it is. So I get it, but for me, it's always been about lifestyle, you know, living in a place you don't have to worry about taking a vacation from. Because I live in a place I always want to take a vacation from. So, but it's not bad. It's just not me because I grew up in it. So it is what it is. But yeah, take the vacation, take the class, you know, start the business, I mean, and I make these videos to really just say, stop being around folks that have nothing to do with your future. Stop being around folks that have nothing to do with contributing to the person who you are and the person that you want to be, because I've been guilty of this myself, just being surrounded by a lot of negative energy. And, you know, for some odd reason, like I said, as Capricorns, the negative people love to stick to latch on to us like white on rice. I never understood it, but, you know, everybody's different, to each his own. You know, like I said, me at this point in my life, if it ain't positive, if it ain't productive, then keep it the hell away from me. We good over here. You feel me? As like, we are good over here. I'm trying to make sure this is, as you can see, I'm in my room, so I'm making sure that all the bells and whistles, boom, turn that off. Cool, that's what's up. All right, so yeah, we good over here. Keep that nonsense over there, and we go from there. But anyways, like I would say, shout out to the positive energy people. You know, shout out to the folks that are the real ones out there, because those are far and few in between nowadays. And shout out to those getting that money. You know, if you see my post, you know, I always say make money moves so you're gonna live bro like a fool, because the ultimate money move in this life is being healthy, being positive, learning something new, and just you know, being productive. You know, it doesn't get more, you know, simpler than that. So I will end this video on that note, because I'm gonna get my reading done, get my exercise in, and you know, maybe get out today. Need to call my brother from another mother. It's been a minute since I've seen him, so we need to get up, because I'm going to be traveling this summer. So if I'm coming to your city, shout out to a brother. Let's have a drink. Let's talk some trash. Let's connect. If you about making some money, if you about some investments, let's get it in. But either way, you know where I'm going, and that's what it's going to be. Like I said, this week, Las Vegas. 2 weeks after that, Los Angeles. Week after that, Phoenix. And then, like I said, Atlanta in August, definitely for InvestFest. Possibly Jackson, Mississippi, and Montgomery, Alabama, because I'm looking to buy another investment property. And I love buying in capital cities, because capital cities, regardless who's the White House, Governor's House, and Mayor's House, the money flows through there. So it could be the biggest Republican, biggest Democratic city on the planet. It don't matter. The deals are going to happen in regards to state government contracts, city government contracts, federal government contracts, and those entities being there. Okay. And then that's where all the other local municipalities come to get funding and make deals. So that means there's always money there. And then, of course, there's universities there. So that's why I bought in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, bought in Jackson, Mississippi last year. And I bought in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I want to buy in now Montgomery, as they call the Gump. Because after just being there for a day, I didn't really get to see it. So I want to get back there and see what the deal is in regards to trying to find another investment property and whatnot. So go from there. But yeah, like I said, if you know me, I like to be around folks that are about making that money and not bragging about what they have, not talking about how special they are, no, talking about how I'm making this amount of money and this is how you can do it too. That's the kind of energy I like to be around. I'm from the DMV area. I don't need to be around, well, I went to Harvard and I went to Jackson State and I'm the most special person on the planet and I served in the military and I'm better than everybody else and and all that bull crap. I don't do that snooty nonsense. So anyways, if you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Larry's Anything Goes LLC, and Patterson L Properties LLC. That's my real estate channel. Larry's Anything Goes LLC. That's where I talk about darn near everything, excluding real estate, because the Patterson L Properties YouTube channel is exclusively for that. Check it out. On that note, do the great three things. Make money, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Make money moves so you can live bro like a fool, as they say in Spanish. Bienvenido a la vida. Welcome to the life, where they say in Spanish. Tengo una buen día. Have a good day. Tengo una buen domingo. Have a good Sunday. And tengo una buen semana. Have a good week. I'm out.